You stand in the palace chapel while the bar shakes. Incense stings your nose. The crowd outside spits canon law and curses dynastic heirs. Guards brace spears against the wood. A deacon runs for the ambo with a sealed letter. The priest drags the last line of the prayer. The emperor grips your hand. The ring is cold. The door will not hold long. Boots pound the corridor. Someone yells incest. Another voice answers open. A captain signals the choir to keep singing. Their voices thin. The deacon breaks through the arc of shields. He kneels, arm lifted high, wax glinting in the candlelight. The priest does not take it yet. He watches the emperor's face, then yours. Every eye asks for one decision. You do not move. You feel the cloth of your sleeve pull where the emperor's fingers close. He needs heirs. He needs silence. The city wants judgment. You hear the bar creak and settle again. A boy knocks over a candlestick near the back. Wax hisses on stone. A chamberlain sets the crowns on a cushion and steps aside. The scribe readies his pen. One word turns this room into law. You look at the letter. The seal carries the patriarch's mark. It could stop the right. It could command the right to continue and record the breach. No one in this room knows which. The priest lowers his eyes to the gospel, then up to the emperor. The deacon holds his breath. Delay sharpens fear. A hiss of anger rolls in from the courtyard. Uncle and niece. Forbidden degrees. You hear it through the door as if spoken into your ear. The choir falters again. The captain glances to the priest for a sign. None comes. The emperor does not flinch. He chose this night. He chose this chapel. He chose you. Choice has a price. The priest takes the letter at last. The deacon's shoulders drop. The seal remains whole. The priest turns it in his fingers, reading the edge. The choir master lifts his hand. The singers fall silent. You hear only guards breathing and the scrape of metal on wood as the bar shifts a finger's width. Silence exposes every doubt. Begin, the emperor says, low. The priest breaks the seal. The sound is small but clear. The captain steadies the line at the door. The scribe wets his pen. The chamberlain lifts the crowns. You keep your eyes on the priest's mouth. It will open. It will name your future. The crowd will accept no half measures. The priest schemes the first line with care. He does not speak it yet. He looks once more to the emperor. Your hand tightens. The ring bites the skin. You feel your heartbeat in your wrist. The candles gutter in a draft from the side door. The deacon shifts to one knee, ready to step back. One breath remains between riot and right. The priest raises his chin. He reads the second line to himself. He nods a fraction. He folds the sheet, then opens it flat again. He draws a slow breath. The captain's hand goes up. The guards lean in. Beyond the door, the crowd swells into a single shout. The city listens for one sentence. The priest lowers the page until it touches the gospel. He fixes his eyes on you, then on the emperor. He opens his mouth to speak. You watch the seal crack. The deacon's hands shake. The priest reads in a low voice. He lifts his eyes to you. He nods once. The guards ease their stance. The hymn resumes. The incense bites your throat. Your fingers feel the ring's edge against the skin. The word incest still leaks through the door from the corridor. But the rite moves. The cup passes. The crowns touch. The scribe writes. The letter does not stop the marriage. You stand motionless as the final prayer ends. The priest says the blessing without comment. The doors open to the inner halls. Attendants shelter you from the corridor. You hear no cheer. You hear shoes on stone. You hear a woman spit as you pass. Snow falls in the garden court. A lamp gutters in the draft. An officer whispers to another and glances away. The night closes with silence, not triumph. A crowd waits for morning. By dawn, the story had a shape. The letter, later known to the court, came with Patriarch Sergius's seal. It did not endorse the union. It instructed the clergy not to break the liturgy once begun. It ordered a record of irregularity for the Senate. It placed the burden on the emperor's conscience and on God's judgment. Sergius remained prudent. He preserved order in the chapel. He did not erase the charge. A narrow path buys a few hours. In the days after, Heraclius presented Martina to the court as Augusta. Ceremonial followed protocol. Officials bowed. Gifts changed hands. Not all knees bent. A few senators excused themselves with illness. A few bishops asked for time. The palace moved on fixed rails. The city did not. One ritual cannot quiet a marketplace. Heraclius kept the government moving. War reports arrived from the Eastern Front. Persian armies still pressed hard. Supply officers counted ships on the Bosporus. Sergius raised funds and morale. He organized processions with icons when spirits flagged. He and the emperor had worked closely for years. Now their accord had limits. He could not make this marriage clean. He could keep the streets from breaking for a week. A week is not long in a capital. Martina established her household. She appointed ladies. She chose a confessor known for caution. She visited the great church with modest display. She avoided speeches. She understood the wind. Her duty was clear. Produce heirs. Guard the emperor's trust. Survive the city's hate. In the women's hall, she set new schedules. She dismissed talkers. She trusted only a few kinswomen. Silence keeps a door shut. Winter wore on. The markets thinned. Rumors swelled. A tavern tale claimed a bishop denounced the union in private. A scribe swore the law forbade uncle and niece in every case. A jurist muttered about Roman degrees of kinship. Canon lists from earlier councils circled the palace. People recited them from memory and guesses. The accusation hardened. The emperor had sinned in public. God would answer in public. Louder voices hunt allies. 3 weeks after the wedding, a small procession left the Blachurni for Hagia Sophia. No banners. No gold pole. Just clergy and a few officers. Sergius entered by a side door. He met senior priests in the sacristy. They chose words with care. They would not annul what was done. They would record objection. They would ask the emperor to show restraint in public honors for Martina. They would wait for a larger council to define penalties. A pause is not an end. Outside, Benders stopped to watch. When will it end? Someone asked. When God answers, another said. A third shook his head. It ends when the army wins again. Every grievance joined the same chorus. Prices. War. Drought. Now the marriage. The city found a single symbol for many losses. The palace counted doors and guards. The emperor heard every report. A ruler counts hours when streets shift. Spring approached. Heraclius planned a display for the feast days. He weighed costs against danger. He asked Sergius to appear beside Martina on the ombo. Sergius demurred. He proposed a quieter rite. He urged a procession for victory, not for marriage. Heraclius listened. He cut the scale in half. He did not retreat. Refusal makes enemies on both sides. Late that month, a messenger reached the women's hall. He asked for Martina's steward. He carried a midwife's note written with haste. The steward read, Hiram, the palace learned the same hour you did. The midwife's note was simple. Martina had conceived. The steward told Heraclius in a guarded room near the chapel. He nodded once. He sent a purse to the midwife and ordered quiet. No trumpets. No public vows. The city would hear soon enough. The palace shifted schedules. Guards doubled at the women's doors. The physician reviewed herbs and rules. One life can change a city's mood. By summer, she bore a son. The court announced the birth with the bare minimum. A scribe read the notice at the Augustion. He named the child and thanked God. He did not say, blessed union. He closed the scroll and left the square. People still counted degrees of kinship. Uncle and niece. Forbidden in Roman statutes. Forbidden in church lists that circled the halls. Markets kept working. Mouths kept moving. The child's cradle stood in a room with locked shutters. Whispers grow when doors stay closed. Sergius balanced prayer and public order. He led processions for the war. He did not appear in Martina's chambers. He kept his counsel tight. He wrote to bishops in the provinces. He asked them to hold debate until the crisis passed. He proposed penance without spectacle. He avoided direct rebuke. He wanted the army supplied. He wanted the capital calm. He could not stop gossip. He could blunt it. Silence can be a shield and a blade. Heraclius left the city in 622 to lead the campaign himself. He placed Martina in the palace under guard and ceremony. Constantine, his elder son by Eudokia, stood beside Sergius during processions. The emperor struck Persian forces in Asia Minor. He trained troops on the march. He culled weak officers. He wrote short letters to the palace. They spoke of supply, maps, and timing. They did not speak of marriage. The war moved first. A throne falls when an army fails. In 626, the Avars and their allies reached the walls of Constantinople while Heraclius fought far away. Martina stayed in the inner halls with the children. Sergius and the general Bonus managed the defense. Bells rang. Ships burned enemy rafts on the Bosporus. People prayed in the great church. They sang until their voices broke. The city held. News of victory spread faster than carts could carry it. That week, the streets cheered Sergius. They did not cheer Martina. Victory does not erase memory. Children came in slow rhythm. Some sickened early. Chroniclers later wrote of signs taken as judgment. A weak neck. A tongue that did not work. Fevers that passed and returned. No physician would speak of sin. He spoke of chance and care. The city did not forget the union. It judged every ailment as proof. Heraclius did not put infants on display. He spared them the crowds. He gave alms in their names. He did not change the marriage. People want reasons when babies cry. In 627, Heraclius struck hard near Nineveh and won. Khosrow fell soon after. By 630, the emperor returned the relic of the cross to Jerusalem. The empire breathed again. Taxes eased. Veterans marched home. The palace staged processions that dwarfed any wedding rite. Martina watched from a curtained space, not a balcony. She read the faces of officers as they passed. Respect for the emperor filled the streets. Respect for his wife did not. Some honors do not travel. At court, a sharper debate grew. Could children from an unlawful union inherit? Roman codes and church canons said no. Yet emperors had bent law before. Advisors split. One camp urged that Constantine, the elder son by Eudokia, should stand alone. Another camp pushed for Martina's boys to stand beside him. They cited the new victories. They spoke of unity. They warned against making an empress a public shame. Every choice created a faction. Heraclius tried to bind the house. He elevated Constantine while still alive. He later raised Martina's son, Heraclonas, so no party felt discarded. He issued orders that pressed harmony into ceremony. Shared acclamations. Shared portraits. Shared oaths. He thought the stage could teach loyalty. He made family policy into state policy. He counted that the city would follow war heroes, not gossip. Shared crowns can split a room. Sergius kept his distance from scenes that looked like celebration of the marriage. He remained present at rites for victory and mercy. He helped the emperor's religious policy in other disputes. He died in 638 after years of strain and work. His replacement inherited a calmer frontier and a louder palace. Without Sergius, the last break on public anger weakened. The young co-emperor Heraclonas smiled on the ombo. Some clapped. Many did not. One voice had held many tempers down. The emperor's health declined. Dropsy swelled his body. He wrote slowly. He dictated when pain rose. He asked scribes to draft texts to settle succession after his death. He spoke of unity. He spoke of the peace he wanted within the palace. He ordered a sealed case for one document. Only named officers could open it when he died. He placed the seal with care. That box would decide who ruled next. On a raw morning in early 641, servants carried the sealed case to the chapel treasury. The emperor's breath rattled. Martina leaned close to hear orders. He said 9 clear words. She nodded. He closed his eyes. The lid of the case clicked shut. Early 641, the death bell tolled. The court gathered in the chapel treasury. Officers stood with the Senate and Patriarch Pyrrhus. The sealed case lay on the table. A notary read the names on the wax. He broke it. He lifted the parchment with care. The chamber held its breath. Outside, The Hippodrome crowds waited for a sign. Inside, the words fixed the line of power. Everyone wanted the same sentence. The will named 2 emperors: Constantine, elder son by Eudokia; Heraclonas, younger son by Martina. It granted Martina the style Augusta and mother of the emperors. It ordered harmony. It ordered shared proclamations and shared oaths. It warned officers not to favor one court over the other. It told the Senate to defend both thrones. It did not ask the church to bless the marriage. It did not apologize. A closed door finally opened. The Senate assented in public. The guards cried the names on cue. Constantine III and Heraclonas appeared together on the ambo. Martina stood behind them with her veil and diadem. The people cheered the elder. They watched the younger. They hissed when Martina stepped forward. Pyrrhus raised his hand for calm. He read a prayer for unity. He avoided the word marriage. Unity has many enemies. Constantine III tried to rule from his sickbed. His cough worsened. He moved between the Daphne Palace and the baths. He met envoys in brief sessions. He signed rations for the army facing the Arabs in Syria and Egypt. He spoke of paying troops on time. He asked the Senate to honor his half-brother as ordered. He kept his distance from Martina's chambers. He sent gifts to Heraclonas, not advice. Illness shrinks allies fast. Martina pressed for access to seals and audiences. She spoke through chamberlains. She asked to countersign orders as mother of both. She reminded officers of the will's language. The urban prefect delayed. The quaestor asked for clearer phrases. The Senate met in long sittings. It did not block her title. It blocked her reach. She felt the doors tighten. She counted which captains would enter her rooms without looking over their shoulders. Titles without tools are traps. Rumors thickened by May. Some said Constantine III would not last the season. Others said Martina planned a regency the will did not name. Streetside talk blamed every order on sin. A bakery tax. A stalled grain ship. A clerk's insult in the wrong quarter. The old charge returned with new force. God judged the incest. He now judged the city through the heirs. Old wounds bleed in quiet news. The emperor tried to reassure the people. He appeared on the balcony with his son, the boy Constans, about 11. He raised the child's hand. The crowd answered with hope. Officers exchanged looks. Someone shouted, "Guard the elder line." Another shouted, "Honor the will." Pyrrhus repeated the prayer for peace. Martina did not step out that day. She watched from behind the screen. One glimpse can shift a crowd. June came. Constantine III's fever rose. He ordered more alms to the poor. He requested the sacrament in private. He called the Senate leader to his bed. He spoke of Constans as the next link. He asked that Heraclonas keep rank, not rule alone. He told them to keep the city quiet. Then he slept. Messengers ran between palaces in short bursts. No one spoke above a whisper. Whispers decide where soldiers stand. Within weeks, Constantine III died. The proclamation named Heraclonas sole emperor under the will, with Martina as Augusta and mother. Constans kept his title Caesar. Martina appeared at the ceremony with cautious steps. She swore to honor her stepson's memory. She promised mercy and continuity. The crowd shouted 2 words at once. Some cried, "Long live Heraclonas." Others cried, "Long live Constans." The guards shifted their feet. One funeral makes many plans. That night, accusations spread. Constantine III, they said, had been poisoned. The word moved faster than truth. Fingers pointed at Martina's household. A physician denied it. A steward swore oaths. The city chose its story. Senators met after dark with a general named Valentinus. They spoke of the boy. They spoke of the will. They spoke of the danger of a mother ruling through a son born of a condemned union. By dawn, a crowd formed at the Hippodrome gates. At dawn, the Hippodrome roared. Senators took seats. Guards locked the bronze doors. Valentinus stood near the barrier with chosen troops. Patriarch Pyrrhus arrived with a small retinue and a closed face. The herald called for order. The crowd answered with 2 names: Constans, Heraclonas. The sound rolled up the stone. The court stewards signaled the palace. Martina and her son would face the people. Crowds forced decisions faster than councils. They entered by the emperor's gate. Heraclonas walked pale, jaw set. Martina stepped half a pace behind him. She wore no heavy jewels. A thin veil hid none of her expression. The herald read the will. He read the oaths sworn at the funeral. He read the titles. The crowd shouted over the last lines. Valentinus raised his hand. Silence fell in jagged pieces, then held. Silence changes what words can do. Pyrrhus spoke first. He asked for peace. He named the law. He said that will bound the city. A few clapped. Others hissed. A senator rose and spoke of poison. He waved a hand toward Martina. He did not name a source. He named fear. He named unrest. He named the army's pay. He pointed at Constans, waiting with his tutor in a side box. The boy stared at his shoes. The crowd shifted toward him. One glance can tilt an empire. Martina requested to speak. The herald hesitated. Valentinus nodded. She stepped to the rail. Her voice did not shake. She called the poison tale false. She named her duty as Augusta and mother. She pledged mercy to opponents. She asked the city to honor the will, the church, and the army. She said Heraclonas would guard Constans like a brother. She did not plead. She did not bow. Promises meet old anger head-on. The crowd answered with a chant that cut through every sentence. No mother ruler. Guard the elder line. Make the boy emperor. Valentinus watched the Senate benches. He saw heads nod. He saw lips whisper counts. He stepped back to Pyrrhus. They spoke in low tones. The patriarch kept his eyes on the ambo. He lifted a hand to Martina. He asked her to withdraw to the side table. Allies shrink at the last step. The Senate moved to verdict. A clerk read charges: disorder, unlawful influence, contempt of custom. No mention of the wedding night. Everyone heard it anyway. They proposed a cure: raise Constans at once to Augustus. Bind Heraclonas as co-ruler under him. Remove Martina from councils and seals. The Hippodrome shook with approval. Martina closed her eyes for one breath. Heraclonas looked at his hands. Compromise satisfies no one for long. Valentinus took the boy by the arm. He led him to the center with Pyrrhus. The patriarch set the crown on the child's head. The people roared. Trumpets cracked. The sentence waited behind the music. When it ended, the Senate rose again. The new emperor stood between Valentinus and Pyrrhus. The next motion came without debate. Remove the danger. Remove the mother. Remove the rival. The city wanted a final break. Guards seized Martina's chamberlains. They read a decree written in the night. It named exile. It named loss of rank. It named a punishment to prevent return. The hall stilled. Martina met Heraclonas' eyes. He nodded once. She reached for his sleeve and let go. No one raised a sword. No one shouted threats. The work was cold and fast. The sentence took her tongue and his nose. The priests turned away. The people did not cheer. A crown cannot out a wound. By evening, carts waited at the sea gate. Martina moved slowly, wrapped in plain cloth. Heraclonas walked beside her, face bandaged, steps even. The ship rocked in a swell. Chains clinked against the pier. Valentinus stood on the quay with officers and a sealed packet. Pyrrhus prayed without words. Constans watched from a balcony, expression unreadable. The last bell for vespers rang over the water. The city had chosen its story. They boarded under guard. The captain checked the manifest. A clerk signed the order. The oarsmen took their benches. The ship slid into the channel with no farewell. In the palace, the boy emperor sat with his tutor and a slate. In the hippodrome, workers swept sand into piles. In the streets, sellers counted coins from a good day. At the sea gate, Valentinus opened the sealed packet and read the next steps aloud. At sunrise, only one question would remain. At sunrise, the Senate confirmed what the night had begun. Constans ruled alone, though he was about 11. Valentinus took command of the guard. Pyrrhus blessed the new order and kept his distance from politics. A clerk added one line to the record: Martina and Heraclonas were sent to Rhodes under watch. The dossier closed with a sigh, not a speech. The city had answered its own question. The ship reached Rhodes within days. Local officials read the decree. They gave Martina a house on the edge of town and a small stipend. Heraclonas kept close to her, bandages gone, face scarred. They received no guests from court. They received letters only after censors cut them open. Chroniclers later said Heraclonas sickened and died soon after. They gave no details. Martina lived longer. She walked a walled garden at set hours. Exile turns loud names into quiet ones. In Constantinople, the government moved fast. Coins dropped Martina and Heraclonas. Decrees named Constans Augustus without partners. Valentinus tried to fix the army payroll. He promised grain to the city. He spoke to senators about stronger rule. He did not hide his ambition. Rumor said he wanted the diadem for himself. The Hippodrome remembered him, and so did the streets. Loyalty phrase when rewards are near. Autumn 641, Pyrrhus lost favor and left for Africa. A new patriarch took the ombo. Court factions shifted again. In Egypt, Arab commanders pressed deeper. Alexandria fell within a year. The empire's map shrank. Constans listened to generals and quartermasters. He read reports about ships and fortresses. He ignored talk about a woman on Rhodes. He respected the verdict that had removed her. He did not invite her back. War moves borders. It rarely heals families. In 644, Valentinus made his move. He appeared in the Hippodrome with troops and shouted for the crown. He thought the city would follow him again. He misread the mood. People remembered the morning he had cut Martina down. They feared another cut, this time at the boy. Crowds rose. Soldiers wavered. The mob tore Valentinus apart near the Chilka Gate. His allies fled into houses and found only locked doors. A city can change a man's fate in 1 hour. Constans grew into his title. He marched south, then west. He negotiated with Slavs and fought Arabs. He argued with bishops about doctrine. He did not change the judgment on the incest charge. He let the record stand. The law had named the union unlawful. The punishment had removed the danger. He kept his own marriage within safer lines. He filled the palace with new faces. He wrote no letters to Rhodes. Some silences become policy. Years passed. Chroniclers kept a short line for Martina, exiled for unlawful marriage. They added one more line when she died. No bells rang in the capital. No body came home. Her name stayed as a warning in handbooks on imperial law. Lists of kin degrees repeated the same point. Uncle and niece lay within the forbidden circle. Tutors showed young nobles that page and moved on. The code outlived the people it judged. Constans later left the capital for Syracuse. He wanted a safer base and a fresh start. He died there in 668, killed in his bath by a servant. The court spun again. New usurpers rose and fell. The law on incest stayed in the books, cited when needed, feared when ignored. The memory of Martina's fall worked harder than any sermon. It told wives and advisors where the line stood. It told soldiers what crowds could do. The story ended in offices, not in poems. Back in Rhodes, villagers forgot who the quiet woman had been. They remembered only that soldiers guarded her door for years. They remembered a boy who stopped walking the lane. Sailors told the tale in wine shops and moved on. The empire endured. The family that had broken its own law did not return to power. The charge of incest had done what armies could not do. It had reshaped a dynasty. One verdict can bind a century. You stand at the sea gate and watch the ship fade. You taste salt on your lips. You hear boots on the pier and the last chain rattle. You know what the city chose when blood and law collided. You carry that choice into the next story you hear. What would you risk to keep a throne clean? Remember this judgment when you study medieval queens and kings. Remember how crowds decide as much as codes. If you want more clear, unflinching medieval history, subscribe and return for the next case.